Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, Money Queens. Welcome back to Women Behind the Millions. We are doing our Divine Disruptors, our mini season before we launch into Financial Trendsetters 2.0. I am thrilled to be here with a friend of mine that I've met through the financial industry, but she is not like the other women in the industry at all. And it's going to be just a powerful, incredible story that we're going to tap into tonight. And the theme of the episode is all around reconnecting with your feminine energy. Our firm at the Wealth Boutique, we just had an all-day virtual event plugging in all of our advisors, and we do a little bit of practice management, some compliance, some due diligence. But how we started off was this symbol of the waterfall. I was just at a mastermind, and I love this notion, so I brought it to our women at the Wealth Boutique. I'm now bringing it to all of you ladies. And when you think of a waterfall, think of how powerful that water is. And yet when you touch water, it is so soft. And a waterfall, it can cut through rocks, it can reshape rocks, it can reshape landscapes, right? It can literally move things around it. It gives nutrients to the wildlife all around the waterfall, the plants, the vegetation all around it. It's so strong and powerful in what it can do. And yet we all know very soft, and water very buoyant as well. So when I think of balancing masculine energy and feminine energy, I go back to waterfalls or running water, brooks, rivers, and how beautiful and serene they are. Yeah, we all know strong and powerful as well. Well, I'm not going to waste any more time, because we're going to bring our guest right on to the show tonight. So we have with us April Roberts. She's an aligned energy coach, spiritual mentor, and CEO mentor. To high-performing women who are ready to lead from a place of clarity, power, and truth. After scaling and exiting a very successful multi-7-figure company in a traditionally masculine energy industry, she now guides female founders, executives, and creatives in reconnecting with their feminine essence without losing their edge. Oh, I love that. Love that. Let's bring onto the stage April Roberts. She's already shaking her head. Yes. Hello.
Hey, Jessica. So good to be here and see you again.
April, how are you tonight?
Oh my gosh, I'm phenomenal. And I absolutely love your analogy of the waterfall because it's that soft strength. In fact, I shared with you, I just went through the desert in New Mexico and we went to the National Petrified Forest. And I didn't understand that a lot of the petrified forest was formed through water. And the cool thing is there's one area we went to where there's a log across forming a natural bridge. And, when it's petrified, it's like granite, right? And now the water made it and the water is now eroding it. So isn't that crazy?
Amazing.
Yes.
The beautiful power of water, that soft strength. Well said, April. Well said. Well, you have an huge background in so many, your expertise from growing people's wealth, protecting their wealth, to now harnessing that feminine power within them and balancing the softness and the strongness as well. What got you into this energy work? I want to start there first.
Yeah, well, actually what I do is deeper spiritual healing, and I'm just an instrument for God. So a lot of times we start with energy because, we women are tired. Let's be honest. Like, you run an amazing financial firm. I know you do Iron Man, correct? You're an amazing wife, an amazing mother. Like, that's a lot of hats to wear, right? And so even when things look amazing on the outside, most women I talk to are just freaking tired and they want some time. So we really start with energy. And I had a really important message sent to me recently when I was working with a client of mine, and I've been sharing it with every woman. You know, as women, we are God's greatest creation because we can birth other human beings, right? So that puts us a little notch above. Think about it.
I agree.
Okay, I'm glad. So we're on the same page. And actually, my spiritual teacher, who's a 74-year-old man, is the one who taught me this concept. And so, I started thinking about it, and so many women are tired, and people just aren't. It's a world where we're all tired. So no one's showing up for each other like we used to, right? So it just came to me with a client. We were doing a healing session, and I was like, you know what? You're the greatest creator on earth as a human female. So why don't we create your own overflow? And you do that by filling into your own cup, right? Filling up your cup. So you have to know lots of things to do that. Really, you just have to know yourself. And then when you fill your cup, it overflows onto your husband, your children, your team, your clients, and then it fills their cup and then they overflow back on you. So it circles back to this like revelation I had in 2019 of the cycle of like giving and receiving. And the challenge is the feminine energy is to rest and receive. But what do we do in today's world? We go and give. And if you're a female entrepreneur, this is like, even higher. So you were talking about the balance between masculine and feminine. That's the balance. It's the cycle of giving and receiving. And so many women are not good at receiving.
It's very true. How often we don't say we need help or ask for help. We hate to be a burden on other people.
Yeah. There's so much guilt. And I didn't answer your original question. So I had 3 different visions. I'll keep it short between 2017 and 2020. And it was the same vision. And I'm old enough to know that when God whispers to us and taps us, if we don't listen, we get that nice 2x4 moment to the forehead. And I've had enough of those. So the third time it came to me, April of 2020. You were running a financial firm like I was in April of 2020. You know how crazy our life was, right? A remote team for the first month, like all of this. Mm-hmm. And I just remember looking up going, really, right now? You want me to do this right now? But I knew I had to. And I just, I think that's the strength of us women as well, that we sometimes ignore. One thing when I started coaching, I realized how many opinions women asked for. You don't need that many opinions. You already know the answer. You just need to know yourself and be quiet. But, we have the strength of like, when we know something, we know it. Call it women's intuition or whatever. So I just knew I had to make this shift. And so I started asking for help, which was very foreign to me as a female CEO, right? Asking other people, I was like, hey, I have this vision, because the vision was of the view from the stage at Madison Square Garden, not me on stage, but the view from, and seeing the impact and this room full of joy-filled, loving people which that vision turned into all women, were impacting and feeding into each other, right? And in 2020, there were no stages. So I was like on Zoom calls, like, hey, who do you know that can help me do this? Who do you know? And it led to this series. I mean, God works in wonderful ways of meeting amazing women, leading through to when I met you in November of 2022, right? And I was just like, oh my gosh, women are amazing. I only want to work with women. And so many women have so much on their plate that they resist change. And I was just built for change. I just thrive on change. And so I thought, well, I can be the guide, right? I can be the guide to help them not lose themselves in all of this change. So that's a little bit long answer, but it was directly, I thought I'd run my financial firm and take care of my clients and my team for the rest of my life. Like, I did not have plans to do anything else. As you know, I had a very successful financial firm. I had my TV show, I had everything going. And, when God calls, we have to listen.
You're right. And those 2x4 moments, 100%. Yes, he will remove when he saw you don't go down that path. He's going to remove it if you don't decide for yourself. I want to go with you. You bring up a point of, we find it very hard to make decisions for ourselves. We're
Mhm.
worried about how it's impacting everybody around us. And
Mhm.
we will sit in this indecisiveness for
Yes.
months, years. How do you help women? Because you said you're very good at change. How do you get
Yeah.
women to make a decision and stand in that decision?
Yeah. Well, especially in today's world, slow decisions or indecision can absolutely be the cancer to your business, right? And
Ooh.
so, if you're a business owner, you do not have that luxury. So, we have to figure it out. Um, so, what I do this in two ways. Either you have indecision because you have such a strong belief, maybe an erroneous belief, let me put it that
Mhm.
way, right? Like society driven or the way you were raised, just like how we grew up with our parents' boundaries and then we had to learn what our own boundaries are, right? And so a lot of times we're socialized, I like to even say almost programmed to be a certain way, because if you've been in corporate America for a long time, there's a certain way of being and that's changing. And so sometimes we actually have to like shatter that belief system so you can believe something different. So we talked about the balance of masculine and feminine. So many women come to me and they're here on the masculine scale. Well, I have to take them to the feminine scale here so that we can balance here. That's the real goal. But sometimes if you're so extreme, we have to shatter it, right? So that's one way. So I like to kind of state the opposite and see how they react, because usually the opposite is the truth, right? Like we are God's greatest creation. Guess what? Most of us probably don't believe that until someone tells us and like hammers it into us. And then the second way is like the small hinge that swings the big door. Often it's a small thing. Like I had a client come to me and she's like, I want to work with you because you talk about energy and time management. No other business coaches are doing this. Like, this is why I want to work with you. I found out she's a year older than me. I'm 49, so she's 50 now. And we went to college together, by the way. So haven't talked to her since college. She was following social media, never liked anything, never commented. So if you're out there, people are still watching you, right? Engagement is down now, FYI, but people are watching. And finally, I had a master class on something that interested her and she joined. But, I found out since the age of 14, she hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night.
Oh my gosh.
And my goal for my clients is 7 to 9 hours a night. So I'm like, okay, can we get you to 6 hours? Can you commit for 2 weeks to sleep 6 hours a night? And then she joined one of my coaching communities, and it turned out two other women in there slept 4 hours a night. So so for 2 weeks, they slept 6 hours a night. Their life absolutely changed, right? Just,
Oh my God. Yes.
yes.
The accountability behind it, though, right?
Yes.
And some structure, having other women who are in it with you
Yes.
changes the game when you're trying to level up.
I agree. And another big thing, this is a tip for anyone listening. Instead of hour-long meetings, have 50-minute meetings. I guarantee you can get the same amount done. Cut the chit-chat at the beginning, like share wins quickly. It's fast rapport building, and then get into the meat. And then when you end 50 minutes early, you just gave everyone 10 minutes of their life back. And they can
Go to
either,
the bathroom.
yes, eat something, go to the bathroom, get some sunshine. Sometimes I just sit
Water.
there and close my eyes because, we're visually overstimulated.
Great point. Great tip. You're right. Especially the last few weeks, I've had back to back to back to back meetings, and you need those buffers in between just to reset, get energetically, emotionally ready for the next one. For you to
Yeah, and we're meeting via Zoom these days. And like, I love it because I can connect with women around the world. That's the beauty of it. But it's so interesting. I mean, I'm having deep conversations all day long because we're coaching or consulting or whatever, just like you have deep conversations. And so you feel connected in that moment. But when you leave, it's like you don't have the fulfillment of an in-person connection. So sometimes the whole day you can be talking to people all day and you can still feel lonely at the end of that day. That's what I'm finding a lot of women feel, right? Until you go home to your family, interact. And, if you're single like me and you work from home, like I force myself to go out and interact with people every morning and every evening, because otherwise you get in this tunnel.
Yes, that's a great point. That loneliness, despite being on Zooms, so true. You can't replace that in person energy
Yes.
with people. We're going to do a quick shout out to our newest book, Financial Trendsetters 2.0, and April Roberts. We're going to talk next about your experience and what you've built in the financial industry as well. So stay tuned, lady. What happens when 13 powerhouse women in finance share their stories? You get Financial Trendsetters 2, a bold, inspiring collection from women who are reshaping the financial industry from the inside out. These aren't just advisors, they're creators, connectors, trailblazers. Each chapter reveals the real stories behind their rise, how they're building wealth, redefining leadership, and creating a lasting, iconic legacy. Sharing their real stories of growth, grit, and owning their brilliance. Proceeds from sales of Financial Trendsetters 2 go to support a scholarship for young women entering finance. Available now on Amazon. We are back with April Roberts. Let's get her up here. There she is, ladies. April Roberts, starting out with the Vixen Gatherings, but you had an entire career in business before launching Vixen, Voice Vixen Gatherings as well. What brought you into the financial industry?
Well, I was a lawyer once upon a time. I mean, I guess technically I still have my law degree, so I'm still a lawyer. I like to say I'm a reformed lawyer. So I was practicing law. Short version is I married an Italian, moved to Italy. My law degree was not accepted in Italy. And when I applied for any other position at a law firm, they told me I was overqualified. So I found myself, yes. And I had worked at like one of the largest firms in the country and maybe, the world. Like, I mean, I was very career oriented. Like I worked all the time, all my friends I worked with, etc. So long story short, threw me in turmoil. So I told you I'm very good at dealing with change. And I ended up teaching English. Long story short, when that didn't work out after a few years and I separated from my husband, I moved home to my parents' house because it was just a very toxic situation and I had kind of was not in a great place, right? So I went somewhere safe as I was getting divorced and was practicing law a little bit like as a consultant and two cases. And then my dad, who I was very close with, he was semi-retired in his retirement planning firm. He was just kind of working when he wanted to, right? And my parents owned another business. And then his assistant or receptionist, she kind of did everything, retired. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I need you to help me hire someone." And I'm like, "Okay, in the meantime, who's helping you with your dinner seminars?" Because that's how he got clients, as most advisors still do. He was like, "Oh yeah, could you come help me with that too?" And so I'm practicing law by day, running my dad's financial seminars, like greeting people, seating them, setting them up. And then the next day he's like, "Hey, can you call everyone and schedule appointments with me?" And so it's crazy. Of course, I'm his daughter. So we got 100% appointments scheduled. And then he was like, "Oh my gosh, can you do this again?" So, and as a thank you, he invited me to a conference in Palm Beach, a financial conference. And I was like, "Cool, I'm going to go down there, go to the beach, shop, like enjoy." My case had just settled. I was like, great timing. And I went down there and it rained every day. So I was like, you know what? Let me go see what dad's doing. And I went in, it was an FMO conference, which, most people listening are familiar with. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, this is what you do for people?" Because, I started working in 2001 and like a good little soldier maxed out my 401k only to have like a 201k 1 year later. Right. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, I'm 49, but I think a lot of people in my generation just saw our parents lose so much money in the early 2000s. And then 2008, we saw that experience. And, I was very skeptical of the stock market. I did not want to become a financial advisor. But then when I realized You right? You felt the same. But when I saw what holistic planning did, and keep in mind, I had been a litigator, so I inherited problems and had to fight over them as a lawyer. And this concept of like meeting with these amazing people, excited about retirement, helping them alleviate their fear and putting a plan for the future together was so compelling to me. I remember I just, was going through a divorce and like I needed that light in my life. And I loved going to the seminars with my dad and taking care of the clients. And, then I started sitting in on every meeting with him. Like it was literally me and my dad. And he ended up number one in his FMO that year. I joined him in July. Between my appointment setting, my consistently telling him, yeah, we're doing more seminars, Dad, because I was getting 10% of what we made, right? I was a divorcee and I was like, okay, I need money. So we're going to keep having seminars. Like this is working. And so anyway, it was so funny. So one, that taught me the strength of having the right team, right? Because it's not always the advisor. It's everything working in cohesion and harmony. And then two, he ended up number one or top five in his FMO that year because, I was setting him up and he was knocking him down, for lack of a better way to say. And then I would inherit the back end, put them in the right products, do the paperwork, etc. And so clients were just exceptionally well taken care of in 2008, which was a crazy year. Of course, this model was not sustainable. I was working like 15 hours a day, also being his intern and appointments. But, what I was grateful for is I got to learn every part of the business because other than the financial meetings that my dad handled with his expertise, I did everything and I got to sit in on them. So, I carry this with my clients today because I coach in all industries. I'm like, when you know every part of your business, I feel one, it makes you a more empathetic leader because you understand what your team is having to deal with. And number two, this is going to sound harsh. Here's my masculine energy, but no one can BS you because you've done the job before, right? So I'm a huge fan of like, don't be too good to do any part of your business, especially at the beginning. The more you understand, the better leader you can be and the faster you can scale and the better you serve your clients.
Great perspective. And so get your hands dirty, learn how to do it, learn the operational side of it, and then hire for your weaknesses and build your teams around you. Amazing. Were you doing the spiritual energy work during this time as an advisor? When was this introduced into your world, would you say?
So I started with a spiritual healer, my healer, who introduced me to his teacher in 2019. October 2019 was the first time I had a healing. And I did it kind of sporadically until April 2020. And then when the pandemic hit, I was like, I need this every month because there's a lot of confusion out there, but a true spiritual healing, like from God, hits you on the cellular, physical, mental, emotional, and energetic level. So you really should only have one a month because it takes about 30 days to integrate and process everything, right? So there's a lot of misnomers about what spiritual healing is out there. So I like to say, I'm just an instrument of God. Whatever he intends for you is what's coming, right? Obviously, you can ask, but it's pretty intense. So it's not like something you do every week, like going to see a psychiatrist or therapy, right? And I have clients who do that work and they see their clients every week or every other week. So long story short, I had a spiritual healing every month since April of 2020 myself. And then when I sold the business, and then I ended up dating a spiritual healer that practices the same way I do. So I got to see it from that standpoint because we basically lived together. And I just saw the impact he made on people's lives. And so long story short, when I sold the business, I was like, oh, I have more time. I'm going to go train to do this too. So that was April of 2023. And I've already gone through the beginner and I'll finish intermediate this year. So I go into advanced healing next year. Yeah, it's crazy.
Incredible, April. Incredible. Well, we have one quick shout out to our Pink Fix merch store because when you go on YouTube and write a comment, you get entered into a raffle to win some of our merch. And then one more question for April. This time has just flown by with her. Welcome to the Pink Fix Shop, where rebels, trailblazers, and legacy builders find their voice in every sip, stitch, and page. From best-selling teas to manifesting mugs, every item is designed to spark conversation and celebrate your story. Start building your legacy in style, only at pinkfixproductions.com. We are back with April Roberts here. She is founder of Vixen Gatherings, the Vixen Voice, which is your podcast, which is ranked number 3 globally. Incredible, April. That is amazing, amazing work that you've done. You have been busy since selling your business, stepping into this purpose, and it seems like God is just giving you opportunities and blessings along the way too.
Absolutely.
Well, we have one more question for you.
Okay.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
I love it. So I like to say that my superpower is helping women return to or remember their radiance. So if you do this work, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a woman just settle into her softness and she starts glowing, and it's amazing. And, you know, when that happens, the sky's the limit. So I absolutely love that.
Oh, thank you, April. Make sure to follow her. Get in touch with April. She has amazing content. Her podcast is incredible. I just love the work that you do and showing up for these high-achieving women. And giving
you, Jess.
them permission to slow down, reward yourself, and receive. That strength and softness blending together so beautifully. So thank you so much, April, for being on Women Behind the Millions. And we will see you, all of our money queens, next week on our next episode. All right. See you soon. Hey, money queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures. Follow us on Instagram at pinkfixmymoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.